All right, so in continuing this, for some reason there we go, my navigation tools were being weird. So how can I get this in to look the way I want? I'm very close. I just want to thicken this leg, and I want to kind of straighten this back a little bit, but not too straight. It's all these like little modifications, right? And you don't want to make it super complicated. So I just like to use the pencil tool with the smooth feature. So I wanted to thicken this up a little bit. And slightly taper it. Yeah. And so it's just these little modifications. It's funny, I'm old enough that when I studied typography in art school, we did this all with brushes and paint. And this is exactly the process. You just keep on repainting the edge. And you paint it with black paint, and then you paint the outside of it with white paint. And you just keep doing it. They're called graphic inks that will always give you just a completely opaque mark. And then that gets photographed, and then that turns into the typeface. But here, vectors are just kind of perfectly suited to that purpose. And we can modify the lengths of them, the orientation of them. And if we want to simplify them, right, we go to Object, Path, Simplify. And it kind of suggests going from this to this, just getting rid of kind of extraneous anchor points. I'm going to try that with my C as well. Click on just this one, go to Object, Path, Simplify, and that just makes it a little bit cleaner, more elegant, and readable, right? Now my O, O's are really tricky, so this is actually where I'm going to use the lasso tool, and I'm going to grab just the inside anchor points at the top half of the O, and then use the small selection tool and bring that down. Now this is the only way I can get kind of a really even circle. And now I'm thinking I actually don't want that so much at the top. I'll make it a little bit thicker at the top, but let me do that lassoing and do it at the bottom. So I click off, then I grab the anchor points at the bottom of this interior circle, then I use the small anchor point, and then I can kind of find that interior circle. Makes it look a little bit more hand done, less mechanical, and it kind of fits. The last thing I wanted to show you was that you can select it all, just like you would to transform it with the large selection tool, but then you can right click on it like a transform box in Photoshop. And though there is no warp function, which would be my favorite, right? If you go to transform and you go to shear, shear is how you would italicize. And it's basically a skew. And you can play with it. So that's kind of how it started, but I can just skew it a little bit. Like kind of pinch and pull it in different ways. And see if that's effective. Right. So that versus that. And that's a little bit different than just stretching it with the transform box. Okay, so now I've got the Nico, but there's something just a little off about it. I think it's the bottom of the eye. Like the arc of that doesn't fit the rest. So we're really just trying to refine. That helps. That helps. And then I think I'm going to lasso the bottom part of the C. All of that. And then just modify those anchor points a little bit. Just kind of bring that down so I get a little bit more of that arc. Yeah, that kind of works. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to thicken that up, make it a little bit straighter. No, don't like it. So what my hope is this gives you an appreciation for the type design aspects of graphic design. Trying to get these elements to work the best possible way can be really challenging. All right, I like that a little bit more. And if I want it to be a straight again, because remember I rounded them, I just have to be really sharp with my pencil work. Then I can always actually delete anchor points, but easier just to simplify from what's there with really just sharp pencil. And then I might take that whole thing and object, path, simplify. Look at it all. Yeah. And then if I do want to round it again, because now it's no longer round, I just round it a tiny bit. Okay. So now I think that works pretty well. Once it's all selected, I can take the whole thing with my large selection tool and then I can just tweak it this way. Stretch it, pinch it, kind of work it together. And you can see how all of this is just kind of flirting with what I already started with my text blocking sketch, right? I'm just really trying to dial it in. Okay. And I don't have to hit return. I just have to click off of it. So now, if I'm happy with this, I'm going to turn off the sketch behind, and I just see the letters, and they should be readable and understandable. And then I make my final changes to them. I'm going to taper the eye a little bit. Maybe shrink it a little, tilt it a little. Let's find the right balance. Yeah, that'll work. And then maybe I'm just going to make this O a little less symmetrical. So I'm going to take the outside corner, then use the small selection tool. Didn't quite work the way I wanted. See if I can just do this. Yeah, and bring it out a little bit like that. Bring this one out a little bit like that. So it's a little bit wider on this side than the other side. Okay, so now what do I do? I'm going to smooth these out with the smooth tool so they straighten up good. Yeah, okay, I'm going to leave it alone now. Now I'm just going to save it. And I'm first going to save it as an AI file onto my computer, right, as I've been doing. So that just updates my AI file, the one I opened. Now I'm going to save it as transferable vector file formats. First, an EPS, which is transferable within Adobe programs, and then an SVG. So AI, EPS, and SVG. Then I can close this. And I can go to my assignment where I've been posting. And the first requirement is actually just the black type design. So you don't have to post inspiration. You don't have to post your text blocking sketch. But you do need to post as a requirement your black vector text. So requirement 1. Black vector type design. But I can't post a vector to an online website and have it show up, right? So what I need to do, just like we did with our logo, is now find the EPS file. I'm going to mark these as gray, all these vector formats. I have the AI there. I have the EPS here. I have the SVG there. And what I'm going to do is open up my blocking sketch with Photoshop, because this is where I have the proportions. I'm going to check the image size, and it should be around 16 by 20 by 300, right? Mine's bigger because it has a border, but as long as it's at least 16 by 20, we are in good shape. And now I'm going to drag and drop. This is just a JPEG image, right? I'm going to drag and drop the EPS onto it. And it will come in as a smart object, and I can place it. Hit return, and now it's a smart object that will infinitely scale. Right. And in order to post it as my type solution, I'm actually going to do this because I like having the internal border there showing the edge. So I'm going to copy that. I'll do it this way. From my background, select the inverse, duplicate it, and then turn that off, right? So now I'm going to save this as a JPEG. So save a copy. Actually, I don't even need to do that. But I need to post it. So what do? I'm going to fill it with white inside. But basically, as long as you can post just your vector type, right? So instead of saving it as a JPEG, I'm going to save time just by doing a targeted screen grab. Command-Shift-4. This will save memory in Canvas. And that shows my black type design. Screen grab goes to the desktop. There it is. Mark it orange. Goes into my folder. Then it goes into Canvas. I know, so much. But this is all stuff we've done before. We're just putting it all together in different ways. And what's nice about the screen grab is it shows me the outside edge of my poster too, just like for my text blocking sketch, right? So this is kind of my border. This is my poster, and that's my black vector type design.